The shuttered stores and empty streets across the country prove that many Belizeans are listening to the advice of health experts to stay home and stay safe. Yes, this is the best way to stop any potential spread of COVID-19, but it leaves a lot of people gravely exposed to something worse. Agencies like the National Women's Commission are issuing their own warning about the possible escalation of gender-based violence.
When it comes to this situation, the aspect of isolation and the aspect of staying at home definitely increases risk for certain populations, particularly those who experience gender-based violence, one of them being domestic violence or sexual violence.
Families are already in crisis as they grapple with layoffs, pay cuts, or meeting the cost of stocking up to stay home, and the general feeling of loss of control as no one can tell us what's going to happen next. All these factors are amplifying the risks for people in abusive situations.
Gender-based violence, that it's really rooted in power and control. And so the fact that people who are unable to manage these type of concerns in a positive way, then often it could lead to them being able to exert violent control over those around them. It could be their partners, it could be their elderly parents, it could be their children as well. And so it's something that we definitely have to look at.
Even if there is no job loss, sharing a space to work from home can bring its own complications.
Sometimes those are the times that maybe those persons were able to access services and go ask for help, or to be able to just go with someone and talk about what is going on. Not being able to step out of their homes or not having that space because they are there in their home, it adds another burden as well. The fact that they will think that even if they access the services, they will contract the disease in some way.
So what can you do to prepare for this potentially dangerous time? 1. Create a safety plan.
Every case is different. Yeah. People need to be aware of patterns that their partners already exhibit as to when exactly these violent incidents will occur. And a lot of times they have a sense there are certain triggers that they can begin to see. So be aware of that. If possible, depending on where you are, it's advisable for them to remove themselves from the situation, if possible, to maybe a safer place in the homes. And we know that this is a challenge because a lot of our families live in very confined spaces. When you look at the issues of weapons, know where these weapons are, try as best as possible to minimize the threat of these, hide them and things like that.
2. Create codes to ask for help.
For example, if you have a neighbor, you can let them know, well, you know what, this is a code that I can use. I will use, and you know that something is going on, so it's not very evident and the person doesn't have to know that I am asking for help.
3. Make a plan for your children.
For those who have children, depending on the age range and the maturity of their children, how best to let them know. Most of the time the children know. A lot of the times they're also victims of abuse. So how do you also help them understand avenues of how to get out of the house the easiest and the fastest and safest way? What are the codes that we can use as a family to know that this is escalating? How do you help children understand, the coding, the numbers to call? A lot of times children, we think that they don't understand certain things, but they can learn who to call and how they can evade, especially if they're smaller, to how to come out, but always try to protect their children at all times. They have to look at the threat to life, the more imminent threat to life, in that instance, not only on themselves, but also on their children. I think often when it comes to these type of situations, people are unable to even act because of just the level of stress in that situation. And so it's important for them to try.
Every year from 2016 to 2018, there were over 2,000 reported cases of domestic violence in Belize. The total numbers for 2019 are not available as yet. Williams warns that these numbers are just a small part of what the situation really is in our country. So as everyone shuts their doors to shelter at home, she urges families and communities to not shut out their loved ones.
We keep hearing at this moment in the various situations, we are our brothers and sisters keepers. It's important for us to actually act on it.